Good day everyone, it is Caitlin and today we are going to work on some 1860s baby dresses. Hello everyone, it is Editing Caitlin here. We are here because I have lost the very first footage for this video. So I'm going to give you a recap of what I talked about. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Caitlin. I teach old-fashioned sewing skills and we use it to mostly make reproduction clothing. Today we're going to work on some 1850s and 60s baby dresses. So what I have to start with is I have a dress that I made in high school that I fully embroidered on the top and on the skirt to look like an old-fashioned baby dress. Unfortunately, I made some non-historical choices such as putting elastic in the sleeves. The sleeves are not correctly shaped. And I gathered a lot of the edging, which was not done. Edging in the mid-19th century was usually laid on flat. And so we're going to take the whole thing apart and remake that up using this time, of course, historical techniques. There are buttons and buttonholes in the back. We're going to turn it into ties, which would be far more common in the mid-19th century. For our second dress, I have an original baby bodice that is embroidered. It just doesn't have a skirt attached. It's put together quite interestingly. So the bodice itself is very sloppily hand stitched, but the binding in the way it was finished was all done on machine. And I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this. I have an original 1840s baby dress that has an embroidered top, but just a tucked skirt. And so instead of doing embroidery to match the second dress's top, we're just going to do it entirely in tucks instead of any embroidery. And I think that's just about it. We're going to start with taking apart the dress that I made in high school. Alright, we're going to start with taking apart the modern one. So I did hand-bound buttonholes. I didn't think I knew how to do hand-bound buttonholes that long ago. We're going to take them out and recut the back though, because that's not a thing. Although, you know, I don't have to recut the back because I have two back pieces here because I flatlined it. And I only need one. So we don't have to recut anything. That's nice. Yeah, we're going to take this whole thing apart. Like everything has to come apart. Because even the gathering, like I just gathered this. I didn't stoke gather it. I didn't gauge it. None of that. So we're going to take that out and redo that. And I'm trying to remember, because this was so long ago. Was I into living history when I made this? Or did I just make like a traditional looking gown? Because the hand-bound buttonhole suggests that I had some knowledge of 19th century life and I was trying to recreate something. But I honestly have no recollection of what was going through my brain whatsoever when I made this. And I can't even remember when I did this. My mom might know. There are some things I'm not going to be able to fix with this particular gown. Because I noticed on the hem, that's a selvage edge right there. So I did from selvage to selvage up instead of cutting panels, which would be the historically accurate way. But unless you're looking at the hem, which I'm going to fold that up and you won't be able to tell anyway. So no one should be able to tell one way or the other. But this was cut raw for some strange reason. Okay. I guess I just cut it to the length I needed it to. We're going to need to regather this. So yeah, I'm basically just going to sit here and take apart this whole thing. All the pieces are going to come out. We're going to start basically from scratch except with the embroidery already done, which is the hard part. So I'm perfectly happy with that being done. Alright, so I'm working on the bodice of the embroidered one. So there's the embroidery. I took the whole thing apart. It's been kind of a process because I had like non-period armholes cut out. So what I've done is adding in a little bit of extra fabric here, which is mostly covered by the lace, but that is actually a period technique right there because I have several original dresses where the ladies have worn out the underarm, so they just put a little patch over top of the same fabric and it strengthens that area. So it's a period technique for really a non-period problem of, you know, having modern armholes. And then reattach sleeves and added a little bit of lace to it. It was just kind of finicky work, so I wasn't able to really get a good angle on the camera for that. But I'm now sewing on this lace at the neckline and also creating a little binding that we're going to put 12 tape in to be able to close the bodice in the back. And these are very small pieces, so it's a little bit of work. And just as a little reminder, because I haven't mentioned it in quite a few videos, if you're doing machine stitching for a period garment on a modern machine, set it to a very, very tiny stitch. A lot of period machines did very small stitches. In fact, all my period ones, the biggest stitch that it makes is 12 stitches per inch. That's the biggest. But on this fine stuff, you're going to do a much smaller stitch. So my period machines go up to, I think it's a 32 stitches per inch. So you're wanting to make a true reproduction. Watch your stitch length, because at modern times we like to make our stitches a little bit longer. So now I have that on the front, which looks good. And I'm probably going to cut the bottom part out just to kind of help with the bulk, but I'm going to fold that over just a little bit, and we're going to have a little bit of a binding in which to fit a cord. Skirt seams are needing to be felled, so that you're sewing the seam and then cutting off one end, folding it under, and then sewing it again. I had French seams in here before, which is not a mid-19th century technique. I don't know when French seams show up. I know they're around by the 19-teens. So sometime between 1870 and 19-teens is when they start doing French seams. And that's not really my time period, so I have now looked into it. But I know felt seams are a thing. And so we are felling all the seams. I did add, this is like a 10-inch panel in here, because after sewing in the lace, because I remember I had that lace, it was gathered. So after setting the lace then flatly around the front, so there's the embroidery, and laying that in like the originals, I had enough to go around the hem of the skirt plus about 10 inches. So I'm adding a 10-inch panel because this is only a 65-inch skirt, and my original, we measured it last time, was it 73 inches, 76 inches, somewhere in there. So I figured a good 10 inches added extra would make it a little bit more on par with the originals. Alright, on the very top I am going to need to cut a slit in the very center back, and then kind of sew that up very neatly in a little tiny hem, and then I can fold this under 1/2 inch and do my little gauging thread, which is like basically a gathering stitch, across the top, and we can attach this to the bodice. Alright, we are taking a break from the other one. So I decided I want to get all the machine work done so that I can go sit and do handwork for the rest of the evening. And so this is the second dress that going to have the original top. I'm going to hand stitch the bodice that thing because it's already hand stitched, and I don't want to put an original through a machine. But I am going to do better stitching because the stitching on that is horrendous. So I'm working on the skirt. I cut it, I believe it ended up being around 73 inches wide, which the original skirt that I'm copying this from, the one with all the embroidery on top and just the tucks, I believe that ended up being 72 inches wide. So 73 is right around perfect for copying that original. No, it wasn't that big, but there are 21 1/2-inch tucks in this skirt. So I cut it 61 inches long. So this has way more than half the fabric of one of my skirts that I would cut for myself for an infant. Oh, I also measured the original. So 1/2 inch turn under plus 3 inch. So it's a 3-inch hem when it's all said and done. Which of course makes me very happy because I love very deep hems. I think they look so fantastic. Alright, tucks on this thing. Yeah, 21 tucks is a lot. For future reference, editing Caitlin, 15 tucks is my limit. That's about when the time I started thinking, yeah, this isn't fun anymore. And yet I already got this fabric and I refuse to let it go to waste, so here we are. Tuck 21. And how you been doing this by machine? I can imagine doing this by hand. Alright, I'm gonna iron this down and then we have a whole lot of handwork to get done. Alright, taking a break from skirts. I do have to finish out this bodice and I forgot to. So this is the first embroidered bodice. And I just need to whip stitch the binding on the bottom, closed. And then we'll go ahead and put in the cord, which I may need to go get my bigger needle to do so. Cord, I have that in the top, we need to put it in the bottom as well. So the cord, actually interesting story while I'm sitting here sewing. I only have 1/4 or 1/8 inch cotton twill tape. That is the smallest I can find, but a lot of originals that I'm looking at have like 1/16 inch. And so I'm kind of stuck in a dilemma of, do I do the size that they would have done so visually it looks right? Or do I use the material they would have used, which would be like a tape? And I decided that I'd rather go for visual size. And so what I did is I took this, probably size 20, crochet cotton, and I braided it together. By the way, that took a really long time. So that is 3 strands of that crochet cotton braided together. So it ends up being the same size as the period cords that I have seen. A lot more work and a lot more time consuming than I think I would have preferred. But visually it looks right. If anyone has a source for like 1/16 inch or smaller cotton or linen tape, would love to hear it, because that's something I haven't been able to find. So here's the cord that I made that's going to go in here, but I do need to go get my bigger needle because I don't think I have one that this is going to fit. Alright, so giant needles, one of my lacy needles for corsets. So now I have a nice little cord hanging out the bodice. And then now I have this bodice completed. I am going to need to braid together 2 more of those dang things for this bodice. And this is a bigger bodice, so it's going to take me a little bit longer. But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely 2 different sizes, isn't it? This is fit more for a smaller baby. So I don't know how long a kid will actually be able to wear this one, but it'll be pretty well, they can. Alright, we're going to add my cord to the original bodice, which I haven't stitched together yet, and I should probably do that. Again, it's just the sleeves and the side seams that I need to stitch, because the rest of it was done by machine, which is just, again, weird. And it's just, I don't even know if y'all can see that, but like, that's really poorly stitched together. Let's see. And I'm not entirely sure what they were thinking. I'm gonna backstitch this. And they did a really, really weird seam. I don't want to take it out just in case it is original and the seamstress just really didn't know what she was doing. I have a sinking suspicion that someone just found pieces and stitched them together and tried to do it by hand to make it correct, but had no idea what they were doing. But it could have been someone in the period, because not everyone knew how to sew back then. I know that's a shocking concept to people, because everyone thinks they were such amazing seamstresses, but nope, a lot of women did not know how to put dresses together. That's why ladies' magazines like Godey's had to continually put in, here's how to make a dress articles, and refer back to our such and such issue if you need to know how to make a dress. We keep getting inquiries from you people saying that you don't know how to make a dress. Maybe some like 4 or 5-year-old sister decided that I'm gonna help mommy make a dress, and this was the result. And then mother found it and was like, let's do this by machine. And the little girl was like, but I did all that hard work. So they just left the really bad stitching. So many options. Like, you could just keep thinking and you're like, oh, this could have happened, this could have happened, this could have happened, this could have happened. But we'll never really know, really. If you got any wild theories about why this thing was so sloppily sewn together and then by hand and then machine stitched on the binding, let me know, because I think it'd be fun to kind of speculate. Alright, we are putting the skirt to the bodices. And I also need to kind of fix this little back section where it meets. It just needs to be folded over just slightly and just stitched with a back stitch. Super easy. But then the dresses will be done. We now have a completed. It looks very different, like different colors on camera. It really isn't. They're basically the exact same shade. Slight difference. This is a little bit more bright, but not as much as it appears on camera. Wow, that's interesting. Anyway, it won't be noticeable in, most photographs. Alright, there's our 2 little baby gowns. Try to set them up to where you can kind of see them at a decent angle. I don't know if I did the best job, but I'll give y'all like close-ups of it in a little bit. But yeah, one's definitely a larger size than the other. So the embroidered one is definitely a newborn size, and the other one will fit a larger baby. Because these are very much more 50s, 60s, and I think we can make next month some that are a little bit more late 60s to early 70s. Oh, this kind of fits into that category, this one, the embroidered one. Just with how we laid this, that really does give off later 60s vibes. So maybe what I need to do is make one more that would be good for 50s, 60s, and one more that's like later 60s, 70s, so that we end up having two of each, a 60s to late 60s, and that's more of an early mid 50s to early 60s. But we'll switch over to doing some close-ups so you can see the detail of it all while I kind of do our little outro. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. If you're interested in getting more behind the scenes content and other perks, there is a link to join the channel. If you'd like more information, just click that button and so you can see what there is offered. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next one.